the dreaded Spoopy month, we're going to be talking about a film starring John Carradine, which thankfully isn't as bad as his last performance on this series with Jacko, but that's not saying much. So today's film is an interesting one, since it goes back to the 1960s, 1966 to be exact. Directed by William Bodine, who mostly worked in television at that point, directing several episodes of various 60s television series. This film, as well as another film he released around the exact same time, Jesse James Meets Frankenstein's Daughter, were actually the last films he ever directed. I would question why you'd have such a random collaboration of characters, like a famous gunslinging outlaw like Billy the Kid and a famous horror movie monster like Dracula coming together. But in all honesty, at this point, I'm not really surprised. I mean, after all, this is the same series where we talked about a movie where Santa Claus goes up against a devil with the aid of Merlin the Magician, a movie involving a syndicate of priests who go up against vampire zombies,
and of course whatever the hell Santa Claus meets the ice cream bunny was supposed to be.
So I really don't think this is that outside the realm of the reality we've established here on this show. Well, without any further delay, let's sink our teeth into Billy the Kid vs. Dracula. The movie begins late at afternoon, but they pretend that it's night. It's almost as realistic as the bat that's flying around. The greatest looking special effects in all of 1699. Right off the bat, they introduce one of the two title characters in a genuinely unsettling way. Creepy. Dracula attacks the campers, and yes, I could say the K word, but YouTube is strict about those kind of things, and even though I say I'm the real punk rock and counterculture, I'm going to play by their rules, cause that makes sense, right? With that, we get the opening credits, all while a fake bat flies around, possibly done with AI. I mean, it's just so realistic, but clearly not a real bat. Dracula rides along with these two in a stagecoach, menacingly quiet, while they try to make small talk with him.
As you say, Mrs. Benson, she is young and beautiful.
Bentley.
Okay, I know we're not supposed to judge people based on appearance alone, but I'm going to do it anyway. He's obviously Dracula. Why would you feel safe sharing a stagecoach with a man who looks like this? I'm sorry, I can't even pay attention to what's going on at this moment on account of how dark the scene is. I can practically see my own reflection in the screen, it's that dark. Did they seriously look at this and think, yeah, that looks good? What I am able to get out of this is the stagecoach stops for a bit, and Dracula wanders off to scare some natives. If this girl is anything like the native woman from Suburban Sasquatch, I think going up against a vampire shouldn't be too much of a challenge for her.
And just like Suburban Sasquatch, this movie from the 60s does not have any real indigenous people playing these characters.
That's the same clip they showed earlier. What, could they not be bothered to do a second take of him doing a similar yet different enough face or something? I surely hope somebody was fired for that blunder. Anyway, he bites that woman on the neck and drinks her blood, leaving her tribe to discover her body the next morning. Well, we are about 10 minutes into the movie, and it's about time the second title character appears, famous Western outlaw Billy the Kid.
Who was around 16 when he began his life as an outlaw. But going by this movie, he appears to be a 40-something.
But surely they'll keep the attitude and the mystique of the well-known gunslinging outlaw cowboy in check, correct?
Hey, I wonder what your mother will say when you tell her we're going to get married.
Well, you know she likes you.
Yeah, but your Uncle Jim from Boston, you know, he might not like the idea when he finds out I'm Billy the Kid.
Look, you're not Billy the Kid anymore. Since coming here, you're William H. Bonney. And I'm so happy. Betty Bonney. Betty Bonney. You know, I kind of like that.
Me too.
Oh, or they could portray him as if he was a character on the Andy Griffith Show. I mean, not that I'm complaining, mind you. I mean, it certainly makes the movie a lot less violent. But still, first Hollywood makes Han Solo a deadbeat father who gets offed by his own son. Then they turn Indiana Jones into a sad, confused old man. And next thing you know, they do this to Billy the Kid. Dracula works his way into this Old West town, which are typically known for scorching weather and bright sunlight beating down upon them. And you know one certain thing that vampires typically aren't very good with, right? It's just that thing called direct sunlight.
Who knows, Chris? Maybe he sparkles in direct sunlight.
What? Is that some kind of inside joke or something that I missed?
It is a reference to the Twilight movies. It is okay, it is an old reference, do not worry about it.
Twilight? Oh yeah, that movie that ripped off Last Vampire on Earth.
Thank you. My name is James Underhill.
But the title of the movie is Billy the Kid versus Dracula. What, is James Underhill some kind of alias that he's using to try and fool the people in this town so they don't start suspecting that he is in fact Dracula?
Nope. He is actually called James Underhill all throughout the movie.
Why?
My best guess is Billy the Kid versus James Underhill did not have marquee value.
Oh, well, if you ask me, this, my friends, is false advertising. I don't sit down to watch a movie called Billy the Kid versus Dracula only to get Billy the Kid versus James Underwood, or whatever his name is.
Mr. Underhill?
Yes. Won't you come in, Mr.
Bonnie. Most folks just call me Billy. I'm the foreman of the Double Bar B Ranch.
Well, come in.
Word of what happened to the passengers of the stagecoach spreads amongst the people in the town, and it seems that the town is lacking in a sheriff at this point, so Billy the Kid must step up to the challenge and look into things. But first things first, better shut down any of these rumors about vampires going around and all.
I thought you were the vampire.
I, a vampire? What are you talking about? I never heard anything so ridiculous.
Oh, they got vampires on the brain. That's all they talk about.
I thought this took place in the Wild West, not the late 2000s, early 2010s. It is another Twilight joke. They are super obvious and old. I promise. Last one. I will stop.
But yeah, this girl accuses him of being a vampire. Yeah, right. Looking like that, in that getup, and having skin that pale white in the desert? Why could you possibly believe such a crazy quandary? Oh yeah, because it's true. Oh, but to qualm any of those worries, he offers to take care of any of the women in town under his watchful eye. Yeah, because that's not even remotely suspicious. You wander into town, people start disappearing, or even worse, and you offer to watch any and all girls in the town. As the youth might say, sauce. That's how they pronounce it, right? Sauce? He's very sauce.
And more insane, they actually believe the incredibly suspicious man sleep in his bedroom for the night and he kills the daughter. All the while making his trademark crazy eyes.
While the family are quite blue about the fact that their daughter has become a victim of a vampire, Billy the Kid tries to cheer them up the next morning by making them some coffee. Yeah, because that'll lift their spirits. Seriously, read the room, and that's coming from someone as out of touch as I am. Billy catches wind of his girlfriend from earlier, whose name is Betty, by the way, will be spending some time with this James Underhill fellow, and he rides off on his steed to go save her, only to discover that they're actually related. She is his niece, and he is her uncle.
But, honey, you know, if anything ever happened to you,
Why should anything happen to me?
I don't know, but I only know I'm afraid for you.
Well, I never thought I'd live to see the day Billy the Kid was afraid of anything.
Can he do anything even remotely roguish or cowboy-like or outlaw-ish in this film, please? Apparently not, because he gets attacked by some other cowboys and he goes down with just one punch to the face. One of the local women tries to keep the vampires at bay by hanging a crucifix on the wall.
According to an old European superstition, a vampire is a ghost which leaves its resting place at night to suck the blood of living victims, humans when possible. Sometimes it kills its victims, other times it keeps them alive. Sometimes a vampire takes one of his victims as a mate and eventually turns her into a vampire. Now you know as much about it as I do.
Gosh.
Back with James Underhill and his niece, he stares her down, I guess putting her into a trance, As the two head off to a nearby cave, Billy tells the town sheriff about the vampire theory, and all I'm left wondering is why the town sheriff isn't looking into any of the missing and or dead people in this town. Or for that matter, the fact that he's talking to a literal law-breaking, crime-committing outlaw like Billy the Kid. Though, maybe he has no reason to arrest Billy, since this film's interpretation of him seems to make it that he would never harm a fly. Foolishly, Billy tells James Underhill that he plans to expose him as a vampire to the rest of the town, causing him to lock away his niece so that Billy can't see her.
I was waiting for a chance to tell you we're going to be married.
Married? Marrying a notorious gunman? I won't allow it.
So, the sheriff of this town doesn't arrest Billy the Kid, who, in real life, murdered several people, but the monstrous, undead, blood-sucking demon from hell refuses to let his niece marry said Billy the Kid. Well, if anything, you can't accuse him of not having standards of some kind. To make sure that Billy doesn't get in the way of his plans, Underhill sends that rivaling cowboy that punched him earlier to go after him. But with his trusty six-shooter, Billy wins the fight. Well, at least he didn't have to use his fists in this fight, because then he definitely would have lost.
What's the matter, Billy?
Just killed Dan Thorpe, Doc.
Alucard's plans are to turn Betty into a vampire like he is, and he begins attempts at seducing her. This scene is very creepy, not just because he's a vampire trying to kill and convert a human woman, but because he comes across like a dirty old man trying to assault his niece. This is wrong on so many levels.
To clarify, he really isn't supposed to be her uncle. He took the locket and identity of her uncle from the campers he killed in the opening. That being said, Chris is right in that this scene is genuinely creepy, even if not for the reason the director intended.
He manages to bite her, and the next day, the town doctor analyzes what could have possibly happened.
I don't like it. I don't like it a bit.
Hey, I think that's what most audiences said when they watched this movie. James Underhill plans to take Betty away with him to the cave, and the old woman decides to test the vampire hypothesis by seeing if his reflection will show in the mirror. You know what? At this point, does it even really matter? Dracula or James Underwood, he's clearly evil and up to no good. Lock him up. Lock him up. Lock him up. Lock him up. What was that? He manages to get away from the old woman and takes Betty to the cave so he can finish transforming her into a vampire, with a strange foreign ritual that requires waving your hands and fingers around like this. But we're near the end of the movie, so Billy manages to show up in the nick of time, along with the sheriff and the old woman. He shoots at him, but this proves futile, so Billy just throws his gun and that successfully knocks him over. Billy finishes him off with a wooden stake that is clearly made out of some kind of metal, but whatever, the movie only has a few minutes left, why question things now? Did he just turn into that bat and fly away? Nope, he's still there, and he slowly decays into a skeleton through the power of crossfade transition. Why did they show that bat flying out of the cave? I don't know. Pickles. waffles. And thus, the movie ends with Betty waking up, back to normal, and Billy carrying her out of the cave.
So, if killing the head vampire brought Betty back to normal, does that mean the other victims are back to normal too, or are all of them still dead, or?
Ariel, the movie is over. We don't have to question stuff like this anymore, okay? We're done. Final thoughts. So that was Billy the Kid versus Dracula. Aren't you amazed that you watched that? For the most part, this is just a pretty standard late 60s Western movie. Modern audiences probably won't take too much to it because nobody enjoys historical pieces like I tend to. But even still, I'm just still so confused as to what made them want to do this collaboration. How random could this crossover have been? Then again, I guess I can't be surprised considering the same director, the exact same year, around the exact same time, released another movie called Jesse James Meets Frankenstein's Daughter. I mean, while we're at it, we might as well just throw in other characters like Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer, or Tarzan, King of the Apes. Wouldn't be any less random than the crossover we had in this movie. I will say, the film does supply a couple of genuinely suspenseful scenes, though granted, some of those might be unintentional. Again, I don't know what it is, but John Carradine, even when he's not trying, actually does come off as a pretty threatening vampire man. And granted, some of that probably came from the fact that it seemed like he was a creepy old man trying to hit on his niece, but still, I think the movie actually did succeed at being genuinely creepy, even if it wasn't the reason that they wanted it to be creepy. And I'll say this, he certainly did a better job as a vampire than whoever this guy playing Billy the Kid was as Billy the Kid. Interestingly enough, I did a little bit of research and I found that this was apparently the one film that John Carradine regretted in his entire career. Out of all the movies he ever did, this was the one he regretted the most. Well, if you ask my humble opinion, I think this was a step above something like Jacko, but that's just me. Well, tune in to next time where we're going to be talking about something that's not Jesse James Meets Frankenstein's Daughter. No, instead we're going to be talking about some movie called Drive-Thru that I've never heard of. Then again, that's mostly because I don't watch a lot of movies. Until then, may Jesus be with you.
We are vampire kids of Dracula.